no, paseo, hombre. 2024, you gotta put it out. You put it out.
Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Our episode today, the murder of Officer Leslie Coffelt, United States Secret Service Uniform Division, Washington, D.C. Officer Coffelt was 40 years old. He'd been an officer for 15 years. Now, he'd served a good many of those years with the Washington, D.C. Police Department before he joined the White House Police Force, which would later be known as the United States Secret Service Uniform Division. Now, he was a World War II veteran. He had a wife and a daughter. Now, it's November 1st, 1950. Now, the White House is having major renovations done. So President Truman and his wife are having to stay at the Blair House. Now, the Blair House is just north and west of the White House there on Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, that residence is used to house visiting dignitaries if those dignitaries decide not to stay at their embassy. So the president's over there, so when he wants to go to work, he just comes out the front door of the Blair House and walks a half a block east and then turns and crosses Pennsylvania Avenue, and he's right there at the northwest gate. Now, there had been issues in Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rican nationalists were wanting independence. They didn't want to be a possession of the U.S. any longer, so they were doing a lot of protesting and complaining. Now, two of their members decided that the best way to get people to pay attention to their cause was they were going to assassinate President Truman. Now, they had already done a walk-by of the residence, and they had counted how many officers and agents were out there. Well, they figured they could shoot their way into the house because you had a guard booth on the east and west side of the residence, and you had an officer standing in front of the steps. Now, at the time of this event, the gate that opens up and leads up the steps to the front door, it's open. And the front door is open, and the only thing that's latched is the screen door. So the suspect 1 walking west, suspect number 2 walking east. Suspect number 1 gets the ball open. He pulls out his pistol. Well, the pistol kind of jammed, so he's trying to get it unjammed. Officer standing there, Birdsale, he's trying to get his pistol out. The suspect finally gets his gun to work, and he shoots the officer in the knee. Now, Officer Birdsale, he staggers and drags himself out into the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue, and he turns around and he starts engaging suspect 1 in gunfire. Now, the agent and the officer in the booth there on the east side, they begin cranking off rounds at suspect number 1. Now, suspect number 1, he's now crouched down on the sidewalk right at the steps because the gate is open. So he's figuring he's pretty close to getting in that door. He's just got to fire a few more rounds, and then he's going to head inside the house. Now, suspect number 2, who's down on the west end of the sidewalk, when that shooting starts, he sticks a pistol up and he fires 4 rounds at Officer Coffelt. Now, 1 round does not hit Officer Coffelt, but the other 3 do. Officer Coffelt is hit in the chest and the abdomen, so all upper body shots. Officer Coffelt goes down. Now, this suspect, he goes over the hedges. At the time, there wasn't a lot of fencing like it is now. So he's able to get over into the grass, and he's heading towards the front door. Now, he has to stop to reload. He has fired one of his rounds before trying to reload, struck Officer Birdsale a second time. in the other knee. So now Officer Birdsell is laying out in the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue, shot in both knees. Now, a third Secret Service Uniform Division officer is shot, Officer Downs. Now, when Suspect 2 stops to reload there by the hedges near the steps to the front door, Officer Coffelt is able to pick himself up and drag himself out of the box. Now, by the time all this is going on, President Truman, hearing all the gunshots, has went to the window and is now looking down upon this shootout. Now, obviously, that's not what he was told to do, but him being curious like anyone else, so he's standing there looking down, and all those assassins had to do was look up, and they'd have seen the president in the window, not too far away. So you got officers and agents trying to shoot at the suspects and hollering and waving their arms at the president, telling him to get away from the window. Now, Officer Coffelt is able to steady his pistol there near that west guard box. He fires off one round from approximately 31 feet away, and he hits suspect number 2 behind the ear, and he dies instantly. Now, suspect 2, he still hadn't made it up the steps, but he's taking incoming fire from all over the place now, because you've got officers running across from the White House, and now he's finally hit multiple times, and he goes down right there on the sidewalk near the first step. Now, Officer Coffelt, he limps back to the booth, and then he falls out right there right inside the booth. Now, a civilian stops to help him, pulls him back out of the booth onto the sidewalk so the ambulance can get to him. Now, Officer Coffelt taken to the hospital, and he's pronounced dead 4 hours later. The other 2 officers, Birdsell and Downs, survived their injuries. Now, suspect number 1, he survives his injuries, his gunshots, and he's put on trial and he's sentenced to death. Now, President Truman commutes his death sentence to life. Now, this is the only time in history of the United States Secret Service that they lost a member for actually protecting the president. There's only been 4 Secret Service employees ever to be shot protecting the president. 3 of them happened in this event. The other one was Tim McCarthy during the attempted assassination of President Reagan. Officer Leslie William Coffelt. End of watch, November 1st, 1950.